So, welcome to the Kickass Midlife Method podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Woolston. I'm joined by some women from the Kickass community. And today, we are discussing why winter can cause fat gain and how to prevent it. So, right now, we're kind of mid-January, and maybe lots of you on this call who are watching this live are feeling quite motivated. But it's worth knowing that mid-January, in fact, I think it's the second Friday in January by Strava is called Critters Day because it's the day when they see their data when people stop logging their progress and tend to abandon their goals. So it's worth, I think, being aware now of the things that might be affecting you in terms of your consistency around nutrition to help you avoid it before it happens and kind of put in place some standard operating procedures, some strategies that you can just follow. So we're going to cover why winter can affect it, the science of light and your circadian rhythm, why dieting, and this is relevant particularly for maybe some of you who are new to the Cook-Ass community, why we don't diet and why that backfires. Going to talk about comfort food that doesn't blow your progress, and non-food ways to help you feel comfortable so you're not snacking on comfort food, to replace that kind of desire for comfort and so that you could exit winter stronger. So I want to, in the chat, I want you to say, what do you struggle with most in winter? Is it A, your evening snacking, B, low energy, C, comfort food spirals, D, can't be arthritis, or all of the above? So just put in the chat now which one that is that affects you most. Interesting. It looks like B and D. B and D something to so comfort snacking, comfort foods for evening. Yeah, looking for something to graze on in the evenings. Three and it's so cold. So yeah, really similar reasons there. And it's always quite, I think, good to see that other people have that same similar thing so you can realize it's just something that affects everyone. It's not you. It's not that you don't have motivation. It's not that you can't do it. It's actually something because of the environment and because of this time of year that affects everyone. So why does it happen? So your reduced daylight so often hits your serotonin. Your serotonin is that good mood hormone. So therefore, your carbs or sugar cravings can increase, disrupts your melatonin, which is obviously being affected anyway by hormone change. So you get poorer sleep. That affects your hunger hormone, so that can all happen. And as I was saying, that circadian rhythm. So your circadian rhythm is that internal clock which drives everything from your hormones, body temperature, appetite, digestion, focus, and nutrition. So basically, when your light hits your eyes, your brain starts setting that clock. So obviously, if sunlight's coming up later, going down earlier, that can throw out your circadian rhythm. And then your body wants warmth, as somebody just said in the chat, that it feels so cold, and that temptation when it feels so cold is to want something that is comfort food to kind of bring that warmth in. And then winter food culture, anyway, is very targeted, particularly in England, towards big roasts and red wine and crackling fires, and that whole kind of visualization around winter really leads into that kind of quite very high carbohydrate and comfort kind of food. And then not related to winter, but I thought I'd touch upon this because it's something that lots of people in the community are going through at the moment. Aging parents, lots of things going on with aging parents at the moment, which is affecting everybody as well. So just being aware that increases your stress, and sometimes you really need to think about it's not a weakness, it's just about trying to strategize, knowing that that definitely is going to affect you. Put in place some strategies to help you follow a strategy rather than you relying on just your willpower, because willpower, as any of you who've come to my meetings know, I don't believe in. So diet fails. Most of you know because you've come into this community and I bang on about it all the time. And even if you've just been on one call with me, diets don't work. Restrictive dieting doesn't work. It kind of adds, if you're trying to restrict, then what it does, and when I'm saying restrictive, I know some of you are on a slight deficit of calories. We're talking deficit, we're not talking about a restrictive diet. If you are restricting, it's going to add to that misery of cold, hungry, grumpy, socially isolated as well. Go out and you're constantly like on edge because you think, oh, I can't eat this and I can't add that, and that affects things. So what your body wants is fuel, warmth, and comfort, and you can do that and still reach your goals. So when you're in that winter time, you're thinking about kind of still the same things apply in terms of your high protein. I should say sufficient protein for your goals and your current weight. It's not a high protein diet. It means, making sure that you're getting sufficient protein for your needs. Warm meals, stable energy, you're planning your comfort, and always consistency over perfection. If you have one not bad meal, if you have one meal that doesn't quite hit the nourishing factor, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you have to give up the rest of the week or even the rest of the day. And I want you to think again, I say this a lot, think about the acronym of BBB. So I want you to think about always when you put your plate of food down, your dish of food, think about it, is it nourishing my bones, brain, and body? So if all else fails, you're out, you don't know what to do, you're like, you're a bit tired with counting and tracking stuff, and you just think, oh, I just need a bit more of an intuitive day. Just think, is it nourishing my bones, brain, and body? If it's not, add something to the plate so that it is, rather than thinking, what do I take away? Think, what do I add? Because if you're adding the right things, that will fill you up, and therefore you won't need the thing that's not quite so nourishing and is probably inflammatory. So winter foods that support you and that really help that kind of comfort thing. So thinking about things like sweet potato. Sweet potato, for any of you watching, you can also, when you come across sweet potato cakes, it's a really sweet thing. So you've got a sweet craving, then I, in fact, have just had, I've been using Lidl or Tesco budget sweet potatoes. I just had Dutchy Original organic sweet potatoes. Oh my God, there was such a difference actually. So think about roasting sweet potatoes. You can have that with cinnamon and yogurt, and it's actually like a sweet. So add it to stews, add it to beetroot. Again, you get chocolate beetroot cake. It's kind of a very rich, a rich kind of vegetables. So thinking about all those kind of things that actually will fulfill that kind of, oh, that need for something sweet. Think about your proteins, your roast chicken, spicy fish curries, roasted pork, healthy fats, but watch your nuts. I'm going to say this because I've spotted this on someone in particular sitting in this meeting. Watch the number of nuts you have. They are not high enough protein in terms of the amount you need to eat to get sufficient protein is highly calorific, is practically two-thirds of your daily intake to get that protein. So be careful of your nuts. My recommendation for your nuts is if you're having them on salads or sprinkling them on your soups or stews, bash them so you flake them. And then you've got like little bits instead of like whole nuts, and that will take down the calorific impact of that. So seasonal eating, smarter eating, and use spices. Some of you do, some of you don't, but really think about your food um, to kind of change, make you feel like you're having something different, even if it's the same thing. The easiest way to, if you're on a deficit, to stick to it is to have the same meal, so you don't have to keep putting loads of different ingredients in, but just switch it slightly by adding a spice. So I have quite a lot of just grilled fish, and then I changed the type of potato with it. So I think, as I posted in the nutrition group today, I had yesterday I had butternut squash, and I just put a teaspoon of that date and tamarind sauce that I bought from Waitrose. Just pushed it, and it made the meal taste different from just a sweet potato and fish. And therefore, you've only got to track a couple of things and add greens to it. And it's really quick and really easy. So just think about using spices as well a little bit more. Comfort food that won't wreck you. So protein packed creamy soups. Think about Tide food. Those who've been on the program for a while know I bang on about this all the time. If you're short on time, best thing to do is buy loads of Tide food soups. You can get them on Amazon. They're organic, they're really good ingredients. Shove them in the freezer. If you know you've got a hellish day coming up, get it out of the freezer ready and then add to it. So add things like chicken or prawns to your protein packed creamy soups. Think about using your bones of the roast to make a stock. Add your beans and sweet potatoes to it. Cottage pie, those kind of things. Try and switch your potato to cauliflower mixed with potato. So do cauliflower mash with potato and it takes out some of that starchy potato, or just have cauliflower mash instead, or sweet potato. Sorry about my spellings there. Baked oats and berries, you've got that kind of recipe on the nutrition group. Have hot chocolate with cacao and protein milk. Maybe add your protein powder to cacao or hot chocolate, or make it hot. Again, you can add a spice to that, add cinnamon to it, add nutmeg to it, make it a bit more luxurious. I quite like chili in almost everything. Maybe have a hot chocolate chili drink. And then apple crumble. So switch the crumble for roasted oats, slivers of almonds, cinnamon, nutmeg. So you're hitting the nourishing bones, brain, and body, sticking to your goals and getting the comfort all at the same time. So it's just about putting those things into action, and maybe writing them down somewhere. Like it literally is, if you are not used to cooking and your brain's not very good at like coming up with things off the spur of the moment, then literally write down a kind of standard operating procedure. Thrive in survival mode. Kind of literally, when you know you're going to have hellish days or hellish weeks, literally write down like the recipe for the little things and go to that and go, right, that's what I'm going to have because I know that day's going to be horrible and it'll stop me having the chocolate and the crisps and the red wine instead. Not always, but at least you're putting in that step to make you think about it. Protein rule. So this is not just for winter, but it's really easy to forget about it in the winter because the natural tendency is to think about carbohydrates. You must think about protein in every meal. What I'm seeing quite a lot on people's nutrition tracking is sometimes it's in lunch, but not in dinner, or it's in dinner and not the rest of the day. Protein takes longer for the body to digest. So therefore, it keeps you feeling fuller for longer. It's not about putting protein just in one meal. It's thinking about every single meal. Have you got a form of protein in there? It maintains your muscles. It ensures that all these workouts that you're doing, you're actually replacing, you're actually helping the recovery and building that muscle. If you're doing all this workout, putting all this effort in and not eating sufficient protein, you're undermining your workouts. You might as well kind of not do them other than from the aerobic capacity. So it's really important that you get that protein in. And the other thing to note actually about protein is if you're not thinking about it and you get to the end of the day, it's impossible for those of you who know what protein you've been set, it's impossible to fit it in. You'll get to the end of the day and you'll be like, oh my God, I've got to fit like 70 grams of protein in my dinner. I just can't do that. So it's really important to think about it, strategize right the way through the day. And then the other thing is when you're sometimes you're not hungry at all, you're literally cold. So before raiding the cupboard, think about things like have a hot shower, use a heated blanket, those warm clothes. So warmth first, and then think about the food. Also, to add to that, think about hydration. It's cold. I'm going to drink actually. It's cold, so you don't feel thirsty. That's why I always put, for most of you in your habits, to always have one glass of water first thing as soon as you wake up, because it starts to prompt that response of thinking about water. And lots of people, when they first come onto the program, literally feel like they don't like the taste of water because they're just not used to water. They've had squash in it or something. So think about having that water first. And then also that whole non-food comfort at all. So taking care of your nervous system. If you're constantly in fight or flight, and lots of women in this program are very driven, very goal focused, very successful, and therefore you're really used to holding everything and doing everything and being really capable and like juggling loads and keeping loads of things in your head and you can do it all. But what that means is you're just driving all the time, and that's not healthy for your goals, for your long-term health. So thinking about things that can get you out of that autonomic nervous system response. Candles, I've been leaning into candles quite a lot. There's saunas everywhere now. There's about eight in Brighton. Hot baths, um, those kind of lunchtime daylight walks at some time, a bit of stretching. Most of you've got yoga in your programs. You can bring that forward from Sunday and do it during the week if you like, and really trying to get that earlier nights. Now, I know Fiona, I'm not sure whether you're on the call, has taken on board something that I said in one of the earlier um, webinars about trying not to use your phone as your alarm clock, because if your phone is your alarm clock, you will scroll, definitely scroll. So if you can take that phone out of your bedroom, get an Echo, get a Alexa or an Echo, whatever that is, and use a different alarm clock. Because I'm telling you, because I was terrible at this, and I still do it now. If for any reason that phone's in my bedroom, even though I'm telling myself not to do it, as I'm doing it, I'm scrolling. So just remove the temptation and get an alarm clock, and that will automatically mean you have an earlier night. And then be thinking about it's not hibernate, but it's not hibernation. So keep up that kind of 2 to 3 strength sessions, your daily movement, your warm meals, more sleep, less pressure. And when it comes to the aging parents and work stress, emotional overload, this tends to be when lots of people fall down because it just goes all in. As I know, obviously it's your parents, there's lots of things happening. So try and think that it's not all or nothing. Just think, what can you do? And for some of us, it's not aging parents, it might be just a big work stress overload, something's going on. So rather than thinking, actually, you know what, I'm just going to park all this kick-ass coaching for the moment and I'll get back to it when this is over. You know, we're all old enough and experienced enough to know that when you drop consistency, it's really hard to get back to it, and that you can keep consistency going. You just have to lower what you're doing. You know, if things get really overwhelming, you just stick to your breath work. If you've got breath work, you stick to the protein shake every day. You keep to one workout. It's not about letting go of everything. It's just about thinking about what can you stick to, what can you keep consistency on. And then writing, as I say, from a work point of view, standard operating procedure, I prefer to call it your thrive in survival mode. What can you write down now that you know that you typically do that throws you off course? And what strategies can you write to put in place so that you can actually even look at the notepad and go, oh God, I can feel myself being pulled into that moment right now. This is what I do, and this is what I'm going to do instead, just so it's really clear. So winter strategy, think about your warm meals. Don't let your protein slip just because it's cold and you thinking more about your carbohydrate food. Plan your comfort food. You can have comfort food that's comforting and nourishing and hits those three B's, bones, brain, and body. Protect your sleep. And as I think I say almost every week on this call, ditch your perfection. Consistency beats intensity every time.